Good afternoon, guys. So today I'll explain like Docker from the production, how we can move it from the Docker to the production. So it's a complete workflow. So in this first slide, this is the basic introduction of Docker. So what Docker is? So Docker is just a open source platform which provides us ability to package our whole application, all its dependencies, libraries into containers, so that it can run isolatedly in any environment. Like locally, we are building on Windows, and there can be some specific dependencies, libraries which are used by our application. So it will package all those dependencies and libraries in a container, so we can ship this to another operating system, and it will not create like it works on my machine and it works on it doesn't work on the server side. So this is the general flow of Docker. So the first thing is the developers who are building the code, who are building the application, they write the code, they push it to they push post commit those codes locally, and then push it to the remote branch on the GitHub side. So in that repo structure, at the root structure, what a DevOps intern, or we can say a DevOps engineers do is that he or she creates a Docker file, which is a certain steps which are defined in such a way for the Docker image part. Like Dockerfile is just a text file which contains the steps how to build a Docker image. So application dependencies are packaged into this Docker image, and we can test this image locally first, and then we can push those images to the open source registries. From there, we can our servers can extract those images and deploy that to the server side. Yeah. So the third thing is that version control and CI pipeline, continuous integration pipeline. So there is a whenever there is a push on the code side, so it will automatically get fetched by the whatever CI/CD tool we are using, like GitHub Actions or Jenkins. So we are taking example of Jenkins, like it will automatically fetch the code first. Whenever there is a push or pull, we can define that. So what this pipeline does, so it actually, the first step is to check out the code. It will fetch that or pull that code from the remote repository to the Jenkins server where our Jenkins is residing or running. And then after checking out the whole code, it will check for the Docker file in that repo at the root. So and then we can that Docker file is being used by the Jenkins server, and it will build an image from that Jenkins file, and then run containers from those images. So it's just a basic step. So in production, what we can use is like Jenkins build those containers on the Jenkins side and pull those make images on the Jenkins server and push those images to the repositories. Like we have we have Docker Hub, and like particularly we are using AWS, so we have AWS ECR. So Docker Hub is basically used for the public repositories, and it is not well suited for the private repos. Okay, so that's the whole process of how we can leverage Docker in our environments, so that this inconsistency and this isolate behavior works everywhere and does not produce errors on the server side. So yeah, in this next slide, whatever I mentioned previously, so container registry and the image management part. So when the image is built at the Jenkins server, what in productions, what organizations do is or what DevOps engineers do is so they'll push that image to a a public repository, public registry, or like the Amazon ECR, Azure containers is these are the specific to the cloud they are using, the organizations are using, and we can also tag those images with with versions using. We can tag them like this is the post one, this is the updated one, so we can tag them. So it will be easy to maintain all that images. And these registries are acts as a central source of deployments, like whatever whatever the server wants to deploy the application, it can fetch, it can pull those images from that those container registries, those image registries, and yeah, spin the containers from them. So like in production containers are deployed using different orchestrations platforms. Like if we have thousands of containers, we can't manually run them. So we need a orchestration platform like to manage and maintain all these containers state. So the post one, for the small startups, we can use Docker Compose. As we all know that Docker Compose is the post thing when we have to, spin up multiple containers by using just single command. We can use the Docker Compose. And Kubernetes is the other options, which is used by enterprise grade edition apps. So load balancers are used generally to route the traffics to these containers. So there is a whole separate section of networking to ensure that these the client requests are properly hitting the right container which contains the right code of that request. Yeah, so in the last slide, this is the summary. So Docker standardized the application packaging by binding all the dependencies, all the libraries, all the runtimes which is required by that specific application code. So it will bind them all and make a container. And CI/CD is the process of automatically building, testing, and delivering those applications. Registries are generally used to store those images, and orchestrations generally maintain those containers at scale. When we have whole huge microservices architectures, and there are a lot of containers which needs to be managed and maintained. So Kubernetes is the best example of that, how we can orchestrate those containers and manage those containers. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.